Hey, I'm early. Hey, I'm early. Excuse me. Wanda Biggs, how are you? I'm just inviting people. I'm early. My scheduled live is in like 2 minutes, so feel free to invite people, invite your friends, invite your enemies, whoever you think's gonna make for a funner party. Either way, whether I like them or I don't like them, I will make it worthwhile. Hello, whoever's here. You are early. I am early. As I tell my kid, the best way to never be late is to be early. I show up about an hour ahead of time to pick them up from school just to make sure. Devin Sook, how are you? Lux Lady Crystal, how are you? Even Paranormal. Oh, hey, Josh made it. You're just saying that you're always at work, but it's Easter. I hope you're getting Easter off. I mean, even though you don't celebrate Easter. That's how that, yeah. But hey, how are y'all? I'm gonna wait till there's more people here before I, get into, my rants for the day. But it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. The magnolias and the jasmine are blooming. It's like perfume in the air. And yes, there's a bit of that 420 going on as well. It mixes just lovely, lovely. Thanks for sharing it with your friends. Gen X Lisa, how are you? I guess I'm Gen X Uncle Birch, coming to you live from New Orleans. So Gen X, that I'm going to see the Damned next month. They're coming to town. The last Damned tour, they didn't come anywhere damned near New Orleans, and I've only missed 2 Damned tours in my life, and I don't know if they have a whole lot more left in them. The oldest punk band, they actually released their first single about a month before the Sex Pistols did, so the first of the British punk bands, the Damned. And I got tickets. Oh, I'm going. I am so pumped up for that. You mark my words, my 59-year-old ass is gonna end up in that pit. Probably song 1, man. They're gonna open up with one of the fucking oldies, man. I'll be in that pit. So, if that's the last time you see me, I will be going out the way I spent most of my life. Honda Victoria Doll, how are you? Lux Lady Crystal, Mosh. No, it's not Mosh. See, in my day it was called slam dancing. Slam dancing's anarchy. Everybody's going every which way. And then the DC punks came around, and that's when it started to become moshing, because everybody goes in the same, actually they go widdershins. They tend to go widdershins, all in a circle. And you tend to bump into fewer people when you're going in a circle. So moshing and slam dancing are look similar, but they are not. They are not at all. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I know you're Colette. I'm doing great. Eon Bythos Siege, how are you? Ping ponging, yes. Pogoing preceded slam dancing, absolutely. Ursa, god damn it, Ursa, you got another name. Let me make sure I'm following you. Okay, I'm still following you. Only 2,000 followers. Damn. Well, that sucks. But you can go live. That's all. That's what really fucking matters. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans, where I teach witchcraft for a living, and that's why I'm here. When I came here in 2019 to teach witchcraft at Hexfest, August, this town took me, man. This town had a magic. Nothing like the magic of New Orleans. It's everywhere. It's in the air with the very music that's also in the air. And I fell in love with this place. And by November, I was here looking for a house. Me, Marta, and Kid. And by January, we're pulling up. Magic follows the path of least resistance, and there was no resistance between California and New Orleans. New Orleans wanted us here. My other account, Eon Blythos. Siege are Gnostic primordial beings. Well, the manager of my first band, even though nobody ever hired him to be the manager, called himself Eon Blues, and he walked around behind us in like a full, like his brother's fucking outfit, on the streets of Santa Cruz. He'd just follow us around. So for a minute there, when I saw Eon B, I'm going, no way, is that him? I don't think he's on TikTok. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. Hey, I'm gonna say it. You ready? I'm gonna say it. Happy Easter. Because Easter's fully pagan. Nothing having to do with Christianity at all. The entire idea, and I'll repeat this several times because we only have a few people here, the entire idea of a God that dies and is reborn is pagan. The idea of a God dying for 3 days and then rising from the grave is pagan. That mythos belonged to the sun god, and at the Council of Nicaea, they said the quiet part out loud. God damn it. They said to further legitimize the tale of Jesus, we are going to attach him to the mythos of the sun god. And the sun god, in pagan times, was seen in the northern hemisphere to dip down below the hemisphere on the winter solstice and disappear, dead by the old tongue. Dead for 3 days. 3 days. And when it rose, it was right around Christmas. Right around Christmas. The whole dying. Now we're at Easter, where he's dying for 3 days. But the whole idea of Jesus dying for 3 days, rising from the grave, is absolutely pagan. There's nothing original in Christianity. It's a bunch of old pagan tales latched on by this one group of people, and an attempt to own that stuff. Hey, Ginny, how are you? The sun god died for 3 days, rose from the grave. Pagan gods do that. Every fucking spoke of the wheel, a young god did battle with an old god did battle with a young god, and one of them would die, but then become the other god. So like the sun god rises to his peak on the summer solstice and then dies for his people. That idea is also pagan. He dies for his people, and then suddenly he becomes John Barleycorn, the life of the fields. The grain god is a transmutation of sorts. He dies and becomes another version of God. All throughout the wheel of the year, that happens. That happens. God's dying and being reborn. God's dying and being reborn. That's our fucking idea. Then specifically the 3 days, dying for 3 days and then rising, is absolutely pagan. At the Council of Nicaea, they said it. They said the quiet part out loud. They said to further legitimize the tale of Jesus, they're going to superimpose his mythos onto the mythos of the sun god. The mythos that has existed since the dawn of times is the first of the gods. The first of the gods was the sun. The goddess was the moon. There are some cultures that have gods of the moon, but European culture, it tended to be goddess was the moon, sun was God, that kind of thing. What's the earliest example of the sun god story that we know of? That's like, etched on cave fucking walls. Like I just said, it's like the first gods were the sun. The sun, the earth, the moon. Pagan. Pagan, pagan, pagan. Now, the moon, in addition to being a symbol of the goddess and everything, the moon, the sun keeps us warm, makes the plants grow, heats everything up, keeps us alive. But without the moon affecting the tides, we would be fish. It was the tides that forced our early ancestors out of the water onto the land to grow legs, feet, evolve, be land-dwelling mammals instead of sea-dwelling mammals. Without the moon and the tides, we'd be fish. It might still be cool, but we wouldn't be what we are without the moon. So in addition to all the woo-woo mystical stuff, scientifically the moon is our friend. And those tides, even though they're a pain in the ass sometimes, they are our friend. Uncle Birch, good to see you. Hey, Witchcraft TV, how the hell are you? I think I was on the list of board members on Facebook that you're doing away with or something. I was on there for some reason. I don't know, you put me on there, but I was just, like Christian, I was just kind of watching, eating popcorn, see what you guys are up to. Let's see. So that's the whole idea of a god dying for 3 days, rising from the grave. Pagan. Pagan, pagan, stole it from us. I used to hate the Catholic Church because, they were behind the Inquisitions, the witch persecutions, all that kind of stuff. But they stole so much paganism that it made it convenient for pagans worldwide to hide in the Catholic Church while the church is out there hunting the pagans. And other traditions, like even voodoo is a classical example. Survival of voodoo is when they switched the Loa and equated them with saints. Because the Christians had come along and turned all the pagan gods into saints worldwide, they made it easy to do. And then Santeria, absolutely. The entire tradition of saints, right there, saint. It's all about saints. All of those saints are representing African deity structures. Deity is not even the right word, but African spirits and things. And so really made it really easy for that to happen, even in Italy, Ireland. Forms of pagan practice survived by disguising themselves as Catholicism and hiding within the very fucking church. They made it really fucking easy to do. Thank you for all the hearts and the stuff you're putting on my head and all that. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. Now, let's get to this fucking Easter shit, okay? All right. I scheduled this, so if you weren't here for it, then you fucked up and you missed it. And maybe this will probably be on YouTube later. I'll upload the entire thing, and of course my YouTube channel is Uncle Birch. Over there, I don't have a number. because on YouTube you don't tend to have your fucking accounts taken down for stupid shit. Over here I'm Uncle Birch 9 and Uncle Birch 10, showing you all and me to remind me that I've lost 8 accounts because I'm an opinionated motherfucker and I got a big mouth and I won't shut up. No matter who I piss off, I will not shut up. I got a flash goal. I don't know what that is, but I got one. And it's got a little bullseye on it and stuff. Anyway, so back to this Easter shit. Eggs. Spring. Eggs are often used in spring as a sign of fertility. Paganism is a fertility cult worldwide. Witchcraft and Wicca are offsprings of fertility cults. Now, eggs being symbols of fertility, they were used in a lot of rituals and that kind of thing. And we know also that in Celtic countries, like in Ireland, they painted and or dyed eggs red this time of year for the spring equinox, because red was a color of fertility. So I always thought, all right, I guess maybe that's where the Easter eggs came from. But no, there's more. This one will fuck with your head. Now this tale is pagan, but technically this one's heathen. And the Heaths, a Scandinavian tale of the goddess Ostra, who of course is where the name Ostara comes from, which is the one of the heathen names for the spring equinox ceremony, Ostara. Now, Ostra, being a Scandinavian goddess, of course, she's kind of a little twisted. You know, yeah, she's got interesting ways of dealing with things. So, classic tale, got all the classics. Got a young girl in the forest, and then the young girl does a good deed. Classics, the classic elements of the story. The young girl finds a bird with broken wing. And so there's March in Scandinavia. Still snow everywhere. It's fucking cold. Bird's not gonna make it. The young girl calls to the goddess Ostra, prays to her to come and save this bird. Now, goddess Ostra shows up. Young girl in the forest is a classic recipe. Young girl in the forest doing a good deed. It's a classic recipe for gods and shit to show up. They show up for that. It's classic old tales. Now, goddess Ostra shows up, observes the situation, chooses a path to solve the problem. The goddess Ostra changes or transforms the bird into a hare, a bunny wabbit. And this bunny wabbit lays rainbow-colored eggs. Fucking look it up. Fucking look it up. In this day and age, we got fucking Google, we got everything. Look that one up. That's the thing. That's where we got the fucking Easter bunny. That's where we got the fucking eggs. Colored fucking eggs. Okay, yeah, the Celts were dyeing eggs red, and that probably ties into it too. You know, Scandinavian people definitely interacted with the Celtic people. They definitely exchanged ideas, but that's the fucking one. That's where all this shit came from, man. Old tales. Old tales reinterpreted. I'm still looking for the goose with the golden egg. Yes. Golden eggs would be nice. Cuban things. How are you? How are you? How are you? So, there you go. The Easter bunny, the Melekinsala, the Easter bunny, the colored eggs, probably is going to take us right back to the Scandinavian tale of the goddess Ostra, and some rituals practiced by the Celts, where they dyed eggs red. Between those two combinations, again, Easter's pagan. Let's reclaim it. Like I said about Christmas, winter solstice is a celebration of the death of the sun god. Sun god rises again 3 days later, which tends to be fucking Christmas. We should be celebrating both the death and the rebirth of the god like we do in all other pagan celebrations. It's always a two-parter. It's never just one ceremony. There's always two. Evaporating gaseous globule. Yeah! What she said. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans, where I spout this kind of crap all day, every day. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and you'll see more of all this shit every day. I've been teaching witchcraft for 45 plus years. For about the last over 20 years, it's been my full-time job. I do some shit on the side. I do readings, that kind of thing too. Hit me up if you want a reading. I'm not going to hit you up. Teaching witchcraft, that's my thing. That's my thing. You can follow my link tree to classes. It take you over to witch school. You see what I'm talking about. Here for this and your wisdom. Right on, right on. Well, the thing about wisdom is that you can't be given. This is one of the tenets of my witchcraft tradition is the search for knowledge that brings wisdom. Wisdom cannot be given. Often I will lead my students halfway down a path, and when it becomes clear that they're depending on me too much as a guide down that path, they will turn around one of those times and find that I am not there. They will have to find their way down the path. Sometimes a student will ask a question that I will not answer. I will send them on a search for that answer. Easier than ever. We've got search engines and stuff, and a lot of the paganism and witchcraft's out there now, so you can find it. I've done past life regression. I've been a shaman, medicine woman in past life also. Well, right on. I like that. My beliefs on this are a bit different. This body you see in front of me, this camera, the table itself, even the trees themselves are an assortment of atoms and particles that made up these trees. Now, the atoms that form my body and the vibration that all of them in sync are giving to make this mass happen is an energy that I would call akin to a soul. The accumulated vibration of all of my atoms. Now, over time, my atoms change. I don't have the same atoms that I had when I was born. They change, but all of these atoms within me, billions and billions and billions and billions of atoms and other particles, have been trees, they have been people, they have been gods, they have been goddesses, they have been planets, they have been stars, they have been a great many things, and within one atom is the power to destroy a city. One atom split is the atom bomb. They have that much power, and there's billions and billions and billions of those inside me. My theory is a theory of particle memory. The particles within me have a memory of the things and beings that they have been, and part of me accesses those memories. Now, in the normal idea of reincarnation, we have a whole lot of people that were Cleopatra in a past life. And people say, well, how can you have so many people that were Cleopatra in a past life unless past lives are bullshit? Well, in my theory, absolutely. We all could have an atom from fucking Cleopatra in us, and we could be tapping into the memories of that fucking atom. And since that atom is a part of us, then part of us was once Cleopatra. So although my theory may be first seeming to be taking a shot into the conventional wisdom that tends to be out there, I'm actually giving larger credence to it than any other theory that anybody has proposed thus far. And we are all connected, absolutely, absolutely. And these are the things that now science shows us we're all connected. But the old folk always said that. They always talked about that. You know, I spent most of my witchcraft life just watching science come along and prove all the shit the old people said while trying to disprove magic and witchcraft. They haven't disproven a damn thing. They're proving it all the damn time. More and more and more. What the old people said was, you know, in addition to us all being connected, they said your ancestors are in your blood. If you want to do ancestor work, tap into your blood. Maybe extract some of your blood, speak to your blood on your altar. You know, put a couple drops there and speak to it like you would your ancestor. It's all in here. Furthermore, they said the memory of your ancestors is within your blood. Well, now we know that ancestral memory is contained within our DNA. We hold within us the memory of every human, not just black, not just white, not just Asian, not just Latino, all of them. Every fucking memory is here. We spend a lot of time bitching about race, separating ourselves. There's no separation. I have the memory in my blood of African people as well. I mean, really, if we follow it back, civilization started in Africa anyways, but I digress. People argue about stupid shit. Salem Moon, how are you? That seems like somebody I should be following. You know, if you got a witchy sounding name, I'm going to follow you back. What the hell was it on there? Okay, so ancestral memory. So they did, and just to, you know, that's a theory. I'm doing good. I'm gonna make sure I'm following you. Yeah, I'm following you. Oh yeah, I saw you yesterday, I think. So what the old people said is that all of our ancestors' memories are encoded are in our blood. Now we know that the DNA encoded in our blood actually contains memories. And they're trying to figure out how to extract those memories, but we apparently have ways of tapping into those at random sometimes, sometimes on purpose. But they did this study on ants, and they found that the ants contained the ancestral memory of the entire species of ants, not subspecies. So like red ants had the memory of army ants, carpenter ants, worker ants, on and down. The entire species of every ant that ever lived had its memory encoded into the one species of ant that they were studying at the time. The reason why I study these other creatures is to know more how things work for myself. I class myself as a white witch, but I'm a newbie. All right. The idea of white being good and black being bad is racist to its core, and we should probably find better ways of describing that. It absolutely stemmed from racism from way back in the early occultism. The Theosophical Society, they had a lot of very racist ideas. It's crazy that you say my ancestors just told me this in reading that. That tends to happen. Irony is the one constant in the universe. So you should, when a god or goddess arrives, there should be some ironic component to it, or if you haven't had an actual visitation. Aquarius, how are you? Yeah, I've been starting to go live on, mostly on weekends. This time I actually scheduled it. Not really the kind of guy to schedule much stuff, but I'll try and do that. It seems like, more people show up. I don't get as many people saying that they missed it, but, we've been talking about the pagan origins of Easter and many Christian traditions. And if you missed it, this, a few hours after I'm done, whenever this posts, I'll download it. I'll post it to my YouTube channel so you don't, see anything that you missed. And of course, it's Uncle Birch there, Um, oh, oh, right. Yeah, I suck at self promotion. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get better. But unholyblends.com. Unholyblends.com. I hopefully have a link in my link tree unless I'm really lagging. But that's my online shop now. Irony is one must in the universe. Serious, man. Serious. Yeah. Someday get me to tell you the Hecate story and you'll see the fucking irony. So to recap, the idea of a God dying and being reborn is pagan. Specifically, the idea of a God dying and being reborn 3 days later is the pagan mythos of the sun god, and what happens around the winter solstice. The sun god dies, dips down below the horizon, is gone for 3 days. When he rises again, that's pretty much Christmas, 24th and 25th, right around there. So that's that. It was easy for them to superimpose G's on there. So happy Reefster, absolutely, yep. Of all things, my dad's birthday, Mustache Man's birthday, and Easter all at one on Easter. But bring me to an interesting point, thank you very much, because there's so much to say and I digress sometimes. Nikki, how the hell are you? I'm trying to wrap my head around. Okay, so Easter is the first Sunday, I believe, after the full moon after equinox. Or it might be the new moon after the equinox. I forget a little bit. I'm 59 years old now. Some stuff gets lost, but most stuff does not. So the first Sunday after the full moon, after the equinox, is how they pick Easter. Can you think of anything more fucking pagan than that? It's all about the equinox is the earth, the moon is the moon. Sunday is the day of the sun. You shared the live with more than 10 friends. Thank you very much. Yeah, share the live if you can. Follow if you're not following. I'm not even sure if I'm following Samantha. Let's see. Oh, wasn't following Samantha. There we go. Because with that name, again, if you've got a witchy sounding name, I'm going to follow you. So remember later, I'm also at Uncle Birch 10. That's my backup account because I'm a controversial motherfucker. Won't shut my goddamn mouth. And I get my accounts taken down. That's why I have to number them. That's why I'm up to 9 and 10, meaning that I've lost 8 accounts. So if you can follow me at Uncle Birch 10, that'd be great. Would appreciate it. Because I need that account to have enough people to go live when they come and knock my live down here and take me off for like 10 days or whatever that. I don't celebrate corporate Easter. Absolutely. Corporations try to co-opt everything. The pagans had it right, and the Christians know that. Well, absolutely. There's nothing original in Christianity. If you're going to do this, you need to study the world's religions, and you will see how much they have in common. If you read the Quran, the Torah, and the Old Testament side by side, you're going to have a revelation. It's the same fucking book. Variations on a couple characters, Who's Jesus, who's not Jesus, who's the Messiah, who's not the Messiah, who's the prophet, who's not the prophet. Other than that, same book, same stories. The stories go back forever. One of the stories that I always like to point out, the ancient Sumerians, one of the most ancient civilizations known to exist, they had all the stories. And in one of their stories, there were 2 planets in the formation of this solar system. The Sumerian tale is fascinating because they somehow had a third person's perspective of this entire solar system coming together. Planets bouncing off each other, destroying each other, molten masses slamming into each other. And as you're reading the thing, you realize there's not a planet that you could be standing on. They had to be at some third-person perspective to watch this thing happen, and that's, you know, that's where alien shit comes in at that point. But the Sumerians said that as this solar system reached its equilibrium and planets started to develop orbit, there was this one planet that was on an elliptical orbit. All planets had names. And that planet was named Cain. And in the Sumerian tale, Cain flung into the solar system and collided with another planet named Abel. And in the Sumerian tale, Cain slayed his brother Abel. And in the position where they say that happened, they were very specific in positioning. We have an asteroid belt. A planet was destroyed right where they fucking said it was. But Cain and Abel were planets. Now you read the Bible again with pagan eyes, you're going to realize they were all planets or stars. Those are the main fucking characters, man. Lucifer was the morning star. Turned out that star was a planet, it was Venus. But, you know, people thought it was a star for the longest fucking time. At some point, Lucifer goes retrograde. And in the old way that they taught it, it moved backwards, so it fell. Lucifer fell. Then, 72 angels fell. So, if we look at the Bible in this fuller context, there's a lot more planets and or stars to look at. The Bible is an astrological calendar of human history. At some point in human history, Venus went retrograde in conjunction with a meteor storm of 72 meteors, or at least 72 that were counted. And that was the fall of Lucifer and the fallen angels. The book was written in metaphor. Nobody spoke like nobody spoke in these specific terms like we do. Back then, everything was poetical and mystical and metaphorical. Everything was a symbol of something else. You would never say the sky is blue. You would say the sky is like unto the ocean. You would compare it to another thing that you can see. So all the characters in the Bible were, you put them back into their context of being planets and or stars, and you've got an astrological calendar that's actually pretty fucking accurate. An accurate telling of certain events in history that happen in conjunction with those astrological configurations. Now, another huge one in the language of metaphor is snakes. Now, snakes in the ancient language were symbolic, a symbol of wisdom. This is why St. Patrick drove the snakes from Ireland. He was there to drive the pagan wisdom from Ireland. Originally, people said he came after the Druids. It looks more like it was the Crom Cruach, another pagan sect that was present in Ireland at the time that he was there to drive from the shores of Ireland. As you might know, snakes tend to prefer hot climates. Ireland's never been a hot climate. There would be no reason for the island to be overrun with snakes, or have any snakes at all, really. Just don't have a whole lot of snakes, or no snakes at all. It's fucking cold. So the snakes were a symbol. The snakes were a metaphor. That's what St. Patrick was there for. Likewise, the reason why the snake in the Bible, Genesis, I believe, was wrapped around the tree of knowledge was to associate his symbol with knowledge, which is what the symbol of snakes are. Now, having said that, if you read it, you run into a fascinating thing. So, Jehovah says he wants you to be naked because he's a voyeur, and if you eat of the fruit of this tree, you will ultimately perish. And the snake said, eat of this tree and you will gain the knowledge of good and evil and of your own existence. So They ate of the tree. They gained the knowledge of good and evil and of their own existence and realized that they are naked and start covering themselves with leaves and shit. And Jehovah's going to trip him because he can't do his voyeur shit, and he gets kind of mad about that. Hey, Bree. So, in the Bible, the God of the Old Testament lied through his fucking teeth. The snake told the truth. And the snake is not Lucifer. The snake is not Satan. The snake is a whole separate fucking character. So if anybody wants to come in the boxes, you can hop up in there. Maybe you got some stories to tell about Easter. I've told the main stuff. We've been here for half hour or so. If you want to hop in a box, hit one of those things. We can get you up in a box. I'm sure I'll have plenty more to rant at. Hey, thank you for following me, Melanie. I'm going to follow you back. Following Melanie back. All right. I don't want to get on the violations. I don't want you to keep sending, Josh, but thank you. A popular vote. Ooh. I got a popular vote. Me? Popular. I'm gonna be popular. See, my generation was the generation that invented punk rock. And at that point, I mean, we couldn't be the popular kids. And that kind of sucked. But then punk rock came along and gave us the ability to say, fuck you, I don't want to be the popular fucking kids, man. I'm a punk. Change the fucking world, man. Happy Easter, Melanie, because Easter's a pagan holiday, and the entire idea of a God dying for 3 days and rising from the grave is pagan in nature. Have you missed all that? Anybody missed all that? Want to see all the stuff that I ranted about earlier? In a few hours, you check my YouTube channel. Probably sometime this evening because they got to process it and all that. I will take this live and download it and upload it to my YouTube channel. And of course, my YouTube channel is Uncle Birch. Diane, the Tree of Clarity. How the hell are you? How the hell are you? And Josh is a title gifter. Ooh. Not sure what that is, but he's gifting over there, man. Blues guitar. I kind of wish I'd have spent more time. I mean, here in New Orleans, I kind of wish I'd have spent more time learning some blues. I guess I still can. I've got like two blues riffs that I know. That's pretty much about it. That's awesome. How are you? You're just talking about zombie Jesus. Yeah, because he rises from the grave and shit. Hold on a second.
Do we know if it fits? No, we don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it fits.
So why are you talking about it?
Yeah, fool.
I got it.
Oh. All right. Roll this back here.
Oh.
There you go. Her hair looks like an Easter egg.
Me?
Yep.
Oh. Thank you. I'll take it.
Nope, it was more underground. And rising in Christ, rising sun after a long winter. It's the whole write-up. What class are you teaching at WitchCon 26? I kind of think I have two.
What are you
I'm not sure.
about?
WitchCon 26?
Why are you confusing it with HexFest?
Well, Hex has to have 3.
Why would you have 2 at WitchCon?
I kind of thought I did. But
Well,
I'm not sure.
He's wrong. He has 1.
Let's see. Jewish blessings. Hope everybody's blessing you and giving you all kind of love.
Oh,
Look at
thank you.
we accidentally both have Misfits T-shirts on, and we just realized that.
Mine is actually my son's T-shirt, but he's too cool for the Misfits.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't even know who they are, so I'm not going to have him wear it and be a poser.
And be a
Aunt
poser.
Marta. I love her hair. Looks fucking awesome. Right on. Well, if anybody wants to come up in the box, let me know. I talked about, pagan origins of Easter, all kinds of things. But if you have stories or something to say about that, let me know. Brujo Legua. Well, with a name like that, I'll follow you back. Oh, a Legua, sorry. That was a Legua. Malekum Salah. This is actually, this is my bandera. I'm just not wearing it in the traditional style. I've doubled it over to be like kind of a necklace. Because I always like, when I wear it like a bandera, I always catch it on stuff and I don't want to break it again and pick up all those beads. Did you ever find out what was trying to reach out to you that day? Yeah, it was the dog. He came back in my sleep and really was with me all night. 8 hours of dreaming and just giving him love, and got to say goodbye to him. Thank you for that.
I haven't had any dreams about him, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a competition.
Well, Josh talking about that time he had that spirit box on, and I asked, where's my dog? And it said, it sounded like Ozzy, but it
Oh,
was
yeah,
like-
you told me about
yeah,
that.
and I think
Yeah.
Lux Lady Crystal caught it because she was one of the
Yeah.
few people that knew what had happened.
Yeah.
But that was a trip. That was a trip. Still not any less painful, but
I think he's in a good place.
he's in a good place.
I don't think he's in a better place.
He's in a good place. He's
per
not with
se.
me.
Yeah.
Fuck everybody being in their fucking good places.
Well, I
can
didn't
be
say
here.
he's in a better place. I just said, it's not like he went to hell or anything.
Damn. Do I have a filter on? You got hotter somehow.
Me?
Yeah. There you go.
As if I couldn't get any hotter? What are you talking about?
Hotter over here. Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Music in the air and shit. And again, I'm here because I teach witchcraft for a living, and when the question landed, it's like, well, I should live here or Salem. And I don't really like people in Salem that much. I
However,
don't like the vibe.
well, Salem is way better in terms of healthcare and education and
Yeah.
politics.
Yeah,
So there's that.
yeah.
It's like Massachusetts, Louisiana. Massachusetts, Louisiana.
New Orleans could do a whole lot better to just get people to the polls. This last
Yeah.
election, we had a big turnout and got shit done and got rid of a bunch of constitutional amendments that were totally fucked up. Our governor, and that was so that was 46% of the people showed up to vote that day. When the governor got in, this fucking Republican governor we got, 19%. 19%
We had a
of
pretty
fucking
good
voters
governor
showed up.
when we moved here, John Bell Edwards, and he got reelected as many times as he could, but we have term limits in Louisiana, unfortunately. So that's why he couldn't run again.
Yeah, Bree, we get 2 weeks of winter. Actually, we got 4 weeks of winter this year.
I was miserable this winter.
Yeah. I want to move to Mexico.
Look at the jasmines.
I know, they're nuts. The jasmine and the magnolia are blooming. It smells like perfume in the
What
air
magnolia? Where?
All everywhere. No, we don't have them here.
Oh.
We got them all up and down the street.
Yeah. And there's jasmines over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Would you call myself left-handed? I have found you get more done with two hands. So, depends on the day. Somebody asked me once, he said, are you a good witch or a bad witch? I said, is there coffee? I love shadows as much as light. Yes, well, piece of wisdom I've used for many, many a time. Oh, Salem. Piece of wisdom I used for many a long time came from Aunt Marta. She said, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow.
That was on the first day we met.
The brighter the light, the darker the shadow. And I have seen that in work. The people that call themselves white witches and spread white light and pink cotton candy all the time, those are the ones to watch out for. A vengeful witch, you know what they're gonna do. You know what they're gonna do. You don't know what that other fucking person's gonna do, because the problem with the white lighter is they think their shit don't stink. They think they can't do evil. They think that nothing they do will ever be bad. The person who thinks that their shit don't stink has the stinkiest shit, because everybody else is going to light a match or spray some fucking Febreze or something. But the person who thinks that they are incapable of evil, even though they are human, that's somebody to watch out for right there. The brighter you shine, the more shadows you cast. Well, I like that one too. That's Bree. Brat Doll to you. Hey, how are you? I'm gonna follow Brat Doll back. Boom, 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 boom. Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans. Josh just reached member level 2 in my team. I have a team! I had no idea. Do we have meetings? Games? What do we do in this team? I like to say you gotta sit both parts equally balanced. That's just me. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm vengeful when I need to be. Now.
And he is light AF when he needs to be.
Yeah. And maybe when I don't need to be. When I should be vengeful sometimes,
yep.
I'm too nice.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. I let people get away with way too much. But out here on TikTok, been here a long fucking time. And I see a lot of these young witches just hexing all willy-nilly. They'll attack people's children, they'll attack people's pets, or they'll take credit for all of those things. Like, I have to pass the straight face test. I have to approach my ancestors, my Eguns, my spirits, my gods, my goddesses. And I have to say with a straight face, this person deserves that shit. I have to have justification. If my justification is, and I go to my Eguns, my spirits, my ancestors, my gods, my goddesses, and I say, and they ask me, well, what's your justification? I said, they said bad things about me on the internet. I would expect a spiritual bitch slap like you wouldn't fucking believe, man. Knock me into fucking last century. They're not stupid. They know what justification is. Somebody saying something bad to you in a post on fucking TikTok is not justification for your fucking hex. And that's why none of your hexes really fucking work, and you're all full of fucking shit that say that. Uncle Birch, coming to you live from New Orleans. I use light more, but darkness is needed sometimes. I can do a bunch of brujeria. Different traditions as well. But as well as seeing everything, I do not know. I keep in my pocket. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I always said when we first got involved at Palo, it was like joining a gang. Secret handshake, everything, man. It's like joining a fucking gang, and it is.
Don't say that on the air.
And at the time, that was the reason I got involved in the tradition, is because we had some stuff going on, and we needed a tradition that would address that, unlike the traditions that we were in. It was actually something that Marta was into, and I was like, what? Apollo? I don't know. Apollo from Schmallow, man. And I went and witnessed some things and saw the most pagan tradition
He
that
copied me.
I've ever fucking seen. So I got involved. And close to like a secret order, absolutely. But problem I have with it, you know, I'm all credence to my elders and stuff. Paula is one of the few traditions that attempts to remain an oral tradition. No oral tradition in any religion or craft has survived intact yet on this fucking planet. You lose your tradition when you try to remain an oral tradition. All of the old witchcraft learned that, and that's how we got the Book of Shadows. People started having to write shit down that they used to be able to freely transmit to their young, to the other people of the tribe. Too many secrets were lost during the times of persecution. And couldn't be orally handed down. Families were broken apart. There was no way to do that. So the reason that it was called the Book of Shadows was to remind our people, the witchcraft people, of the dark times that brought that book into being. That we had to write shit down for fear of it being lost forever. Mouth to ear, absolutely. I mean, the bards, in the Druidic bards in Ireland believed that if you wrote a story down, you killed the story. The story must be allowed to evolve and change over time. When we allow magic to do that, we lose a lot. Even during the times of Wicca in witchcraft, we lost a lot of witchcraft. And that's why you need to get over to Witch School, witchskewl.gumroad.com, or follow the link in my link tree, because coming up soon, I have a series called Reviving the Old Ways. Remembering all of the things that we all used to know in witchcraft back when I was a kid that we don't know anymore. Or that I know and a lot of other people don't. You know, wait a minute, what? Why does it say my life's going to end in 5 seconds? Oh, and I set a time frame for it? That's stupid.
Oh, you look
How do I
cuter
change
too.
that? Yeah, I don't know. You look younger, sir. Somebody just said. All right, well, my life better not fucking end, dude. I should be able to keep going longer than I said I was going to go. That was arbitrary. I don't know what I was saying before that. I had to like slide a puzzle piece together to prove that I'm not a robot. Been sitting here live for an hour, and they want me to prove I'm not a robot. Uncle Bert's coming to you live from New Orleans. But the Old Ways Revived is a series that I'm working on, and should be launching it within a couple days. And then actually, that might be one of the things I'm teaching at WitchCon, and I'm teaching an elaboration of that at HexFest as well. HexFest is here in New Orleans in August. I'm doing 3 classes. So you get over there to hexfest.com and check that out. And when you sign up, tell them you're there to see Uncle Birch, because this year, 3 workshops from Uncle Birch. I usually only do 1. And this year at HexFest, y'all, New Orleans locals only presenting.
No, it's not New Orleans locals. It's locals from the South.
Oh, now they change it, locals from the South?
Well, Billy's from, he's in Georgia right now.
Okay.
He's doing it.
All right, well, I'm going to have to talk to Christian, because, man, I was plugging it correct, like they fucking told me to. I mean, I have contractual obligations to plug the event.
I think
so
you're the
I need
only
to
person
plug
who
it
follows
properly.
that, though.
Well, I know. Well, I go above and beyond. When we get closer to HexFest and WitchCon, well, that's when Widdershins, The podcast of Uncle Birch and Aunt Marta suddenly arises again, and we do marathons of interviews of the presenters. Um, we should probably just be doing it at least once a month anyways, but hopefully we'll get around to doing that. But Widdershins, I'll put a link up for that when we start doing that again. Leslie Sibnick, hello. Okay, I'm just looking at all you talk. So yeah, if anybody wants to get in the box, hit that little thing. I can get you up in the box. You can talk. You can tell your stories. You can ask your questions and not have to type in the window. No. But I'm Uncle Birch coming to you live from New Orleans, where it is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And it's Zombie Jesus Day. And I forget what the name of that other holiday that somebody gave for 420 was earlier, but that was a cool name, and I don't remember what it was. And yeah, it's a Mustache Man's birthday and everything, man. Let's see who we got. Brujo Legba. Let's see who. Solomon Lecca.
Hey, blessings. How's it going, man?
Good, how you doing?
Alaikum salam, Zambia Kotari. How's it going?
Your voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, you probably. I followed you before. I think we spoke once or twice, but it was
Okay.
like a while ago, maybe like 8 or 9 months ago or something.
Okay. Yeah, every time I
Yeah.
lose an account, I lose a bunch of people until I remember them or they pop up in my feed
I used to
again.
be under Yawo Elegwa, but
That
I
sounds.
changed it. That's the same account. It's just I changed the name because I'm no longer a Yawo at the time. hmm
That sounds familiar. You got
Yeah, we
any
spoke a couple times.
traditions around Easter?
Huh?
You got any traditions around Easter?
Not so much Easter. I eat with family. That's about it. You know.
Well, I was just talking about on Good Friday in Palo Mayombe, Palomonte, even Cambisa.
Uh-huh.
They believe on Good Friday that they can throw on anybody because
Oh
Jesus
yeah,
see.
that is a belief. Yeah. So they said
Which
like I guess that's the day
I know, but
where
some
everybody does their brujeria and stuff.
yeah, some things that our ancestors say are just silly. That Jesus can't see. He doesn't die every year. But yeah,
Yeah, though, a lot of people think about Wapalo Mayombe and stuff. A lot of people don't see that it does have like some lines have like a Christian influence, right?
oh
Like
yeah.
Kimbisa, they used the cross in Nganga and stuff. So, and they also use it for good and bad things. So some might take it out when they're doing something bad. Some might turn it upside down or do this and that. Um, but yeah, Palo's a beautiful.
The prenda was scratched over, had a big crucifix in it. At my misas before initiation, I remember having to do, Our Father and Hail Marys over and over. I was Catholic once, so it's all still in there. Didn't take me long to
Yeah,
remember that shit.
yeah. Some people, I ain't gonna lie, I was raised Christian and everything.
Mhm.
Um, but there was just questions that weren't answered. I would go to priest and be like, I've read the Book of Enoch or the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I'd go to priest and I'd be like, what is this and this? And they're like, have faith in God. And I'm like, and I don't knock any religion, right? If it brings the person light and
Yeah.
it helps their life, that's great. I'm not the kind of person like convert to my religion, convert to this.
Well, I don't know if you were here when I was talking about that, but at the Council of Nicaea, where they decided the final books that would go into the Bible and all that stuff, um, that they decided, and they said the quiet part out loud, that to further, guys, leave me off. Um, to further legitimize the tale of Jesus, they're going to superimpose the tale of Jesus onto the mythos of the sun god. And that is where they came up with Jesus dying for 3 days and then rising from the grave, because that's what the sun god did. Well, also the Council of Nicaea, they say they had a stack of books reaching the ceiling, all gospels intended for the Bible. You mentioned the Gnostic gospels; those were some of them, and they tossed out all of the gospels by women. Word is, they tossed out Jesus' mother's book, Jesus' brother's book. We never even hear about a brother. And the Gospel of Jesus. Also, the Gospel of Judas got tossed out too, where now.
Gospel of Thomas, the Enoch got tossed out of a lot of Bibles, the Book of Enoch.
Yeah. So, like all those, the Gnostic Gospels, the Book of Enoch, all that stuff, all that was intended to be in the Bible, and these bunch of white men sat in a room and fucking well, I guess they were Latin men, sat in a room and fucking decided what would be in the Bible and what wouldn't, and a lot of what they threw out was based on their political interests.
Yeah, they didn't want people to question things, right? And I think my magical journey started maybe 15 to maybe 20 years ago. I'm not that old, but I'm like 34, but I started at a younger age, and then I was still a little hooligan, but I was trying to get out of that as well. And then I got out of that lifestyle and started being real spiritual. But the question that no one could answer, right? No priest has answered it. I asked them at that time, and what started my magical journey is when I read the Book of Enoch, when it said the Watchers, the angels that fell are the ones that taught human witchcraft. So all my life I've been told witchcraft is bad, witchcraft is this and this and this, right?
Yeah.
But how is this so evil if they taught us it? How did they know it? How did they know it? If it was so evil, how did they know it?
Absolutely. In Italian witchcraft, they're called the Grigori. I think a lot of Bibles are Grigori, but yeah, the Watchers. Now, in witchcraft, we have one, in my tradition of witchcraft, there is a legend of, it's kind of like there were these gods rolling dice on this planet. They tried a bunch of different things to see if it would work. And one of the things they did was, they threw species out to evolve. And these species evolved to this hugely high spiritual realm, and the gods at the time hadn't developed a plan on what to do with them. They'd evolved past the need for physical bodies. They didn't have a plan for that yet. They had not invented mortality. And those beings were the Watchers. So they had to do something with the Watchers, so they just set them at the cardinal points of the planet and based them on 4 different stars. And that's the Watchers. And all the witchcraft I've ever worked with, we always are working with the Watchers.
Yeah, there's a lot to there. There's like Enochian magic. I studied a little bit of everything. In my spiritual journey, I wanted to make sure I knew what all the doors were before I picked one.
Absolutely. And you got
I studied a little bit of everything. Kabbalicism, Kundalini. I've studied Wicca. I was Wiccan at one point, which I still talk to a lot of witches at this time, but I'm more into like Santo and Palo. What else? Paganism, Sufism with like the Islamic magic, a little bit of everything. Dibble dab and dabbled a little bit of everywhere to have an understanding of things. But a lot of the things in the Bible as well are very much so. From what I was told a long time ago, right, is the Bible was reinterpreted from the Emerald Tablets. And if you look at both stories, like the concept of Noah and the ark, there was a similar story in the Emerald Tablets, and the people who do like the Anunnaki, they have their type of tradition is with the Anunnaki and stuff. Noah was just, his name was before, and I don't always go off of what people say. I go off of the proof, right? What came first? So if in example wise, right? If I make the color blue 1600 years ago, and Joe Schmo make the color blue 100 years ago, who's the real creator of the color blue? Proof would say that I'm the creator of the color blue because it was 1600 years ago, and this guy only came 100 or so years ago, or 1,000 years ago. So it looks like it could be copied, right? And, almost all the Garden of Eden's in that with Enlil and Enkel. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but Enlil and Enki. They have almost all the stories in the Bible in those texts, and people like with Christians. It's not that I don't have nothing against any Christian, but there's so many things you can learn about as well. Like there's the Sinai Bible, which is the most oldest text Bible, and people don't even know what that is. you know.
Yeah. Well,
hmm
Christianity as a whole, I don't have a problem with it, except for the fact that they constantly persecute us. We never did anything to them. But nowadays, we have the other Christian. And I find myself as a witch constantly having to tell people that profess Christianity, explain the elements of their religion to them. So, like when I argue with MAGA people online, my favorite thing to say to them is, Jesus was woke. And they get so mad about that. Jesus was
Very
woke. The ultimate woke, maybe the first woke we know of on Earth, the first woke person anybody ever wrote a story on. These people, the MAGA people, are not Christian. Trump and all that.
He was very woke. Like he used to talk about the Christ within, and the God within. Everyone has the spark of creation. And it goes to go with other teachings, right? So that teaching can correlate with the microcosm and the macrocosm, right? If we have a world within or a God within, that we, some cult philosophers will call it the macrocosm. There's also in Palo, we consider the Nganga a microcosm. We consider its own world in our bodies. We got the heart that pumps the blood here. The liver filters this. It's a little microcosm. And we have our own spirituality within and our own divine spark, right? So, people they take one teaching and they bind themselves to it.
Well,
Right.
you mentioned earlier the Emerald Tablet. That's Hermeticism, and in Hermeticism, that's where we get the idea of as above, so below. That's just
As within, so without.
macrocosm.
hmm There's like a 6-point star, and it has like a face of an older man, and then it's flips upside down, and it has another face like on the tip of the star. It's like an alchemy thing. Um,
I see it. I know what you're talking about. I see it right
yeah,
now.
it's like because the 6-point star is an exact replica of as above, so below. It's the
Yeah.
same shape, it's upside down. And I even went into like studying alchemy and the philosopher's stone, and all of that, like the divine feminine, the divine male, the key to life. People think that alchemy is just trying to make things into gold. It's not just that. They have a philosophy of transformation, spiritually, physically, in life,
Yeah.
and it was very interesting.
Well, yeah, Lex Lady Crystal, they call it the Star of David, but it appeared in Solomon's work. I don't
Star
know.
of David, Book Nation.
Well, it's
No,
Solomon.
I'm talking about like alchemy symbols. It is also considered the Star of David. It's also used in witchcraft. It's used in Jewish tradition. It's used in alchemy. It's used in many different traditions. Even in the South America, was that like Kimbanda and Ubanda and stuff? They also use it as well. It's used all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very old symbol. So is the pentagram. Like the pentagram is considered a pagan symbol, but at the one point in time, people don't know that Christians used to use that symbol for the 5 stigmatas of Jesus, right? And also, if we look into it, I've even heard certain people in like the Orisha practice call them like they could use them the star as the five Orishas, Obatala, Chango, Ochun. It's a very ancient symbol used in Egypt, used in places all over the world. You know, just as like the trident too. They used to use the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit for the trident. Now it's just the devil's thing. You know.
Likewise, the cross. The cross was a symbol of the sun, and it was equal arms.
Cross.
And then the Christians just kind of elongated a piece of it, or somewhere down the line, a piece of it got elongated. But the
Exactly.
older crosses had a circle in the middle. They were a pagan cross.
It's also in Congo cosmology. It's called the Dukenga, right? It's a cross with a circle around it. Also, the cross is also a form of the crossroads, right? As well, it is like before it was a Christian symbol. It was also a form of like the crossroads. You know, Elegua, Eshu, in Congo they used it for the crossroads and the Dukenga. The cross was used in many different cultures. They got the Celtic cross. You
Yeah.
know, hmm
Oh,
all of these symbols is not bound to one tradition. You know.
yeah, and I saw somebody getting in a fight one time because they were working at the crossroads, and some African tradition people got all up in their grill about stealing their stuff. It's like, Hecate, ancient Greece. That's all I gotta say. People have been working at the fucking crossroads for fucking ever, man. And they tend to be witches and magical practitioners of some kind, and we should probably someday maybe look for how similar our practices are rather than how different.
Yes. Exactly. Like you got the let's say in witchcraft and Wicca and paganism they have the triple moon goddess concept, right? In Christianity they have the Trinity,
Yes.
right? And in Osha they have the Olodumare Olofinolorum, you know? There's a lot of Trinity concepts in different traditions. And instead of thinking like, okay, that's not my practice, I'm not gonna worry about that. Maybe it might open your mind to something.
Yeah.
Maybe it might give you an understanding. Or we see this Trinity, but we also have a Trinity within us, mental, physical, and spiritual. You know.
But, you know, I heard somebody earlier today, I think it's Nikki, I think she's gone, but she was talking about how Dungeons and Dragons has nothing to do with witchcraft. I wanted to disagree, but she didn't have her stitches on. When in Chaos Magic, when building a servitor, if you're a D&D practitioner or a player,
I love D&D.
you're going to be.
I love all the hocus pocus stuff since I was a kid. Vampires, werewolves, all that kind of stuff.
When you're building a servitor, you're creating a character and giving it attributes and skills. D&D,
Servitor.
yeah, D&D people are made to do that, man. It's fucking D&D. You're creating a fucking character. But what was another one? In like D&D or typical role-playing games, you travel around the world finding keys to unlock a door, a treasure chest, that kind of thing. But these keys tend to be spread around, and you've got to go through many quests in many different worlds to find these keys. I, a long time ago, heard spirituality and religion described that way, that the gods spread many keys around the planet. It's up to us to search those keys out to open the door. People talk a lot about closed practices, and I say there are no closed practices. There are doors that can be opened. If you have the right words, have the right keys, you can open that fucking door. But you've got to travel around and find the different keys to open it.
No, of course. Also, if we look at like different types of histories, it's another story in the Bible, but there's also one in the Emerald Tablets where humans all had the same language at one time, and we got too smart for the gods. We got too smart. We worked all together, all the different races worked together, and we built that tower. And there's another similar story in the Bible, and they came down and they divided us first for a reason. So, if people have an open mind, we work together, we can learn a lot from each other and be very masters in things, Be very intelligent. And also, these spiritual things and having these knowledge also helps us in life. You know, when we're going through something, we could do this, this, and this to manipulate the future, to bend it to our benefit, to our best will. You know, to open our roads, to clear our paths. You know, in many different ways.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really a fan of the become a living God guy. I forget what his name is right now. Uh,
God body kind of thing.
uh,
Like believing you're a God. I don't believe it, but I don't knock anyone for their beliefs kind of thing.
he's on
But
the
I
internet.
say, hey,
This thing's all about become a living God. But that was the goal of ancient witchcraft and paganism, was to the process of initiation was created because the tale is we're born on this planet, and our job is to overcome the weaknesses and accumulate the strengths of the sign that we were born under. And that gives us one sign a lifetime to overcome. And the process of initiation was created to get through several signs in one lifetime, and to eventually get to the point where we are freed from this wheel of incarnations to become a god. And that's what initiation was all about. To rush
yeah,
that.
and there's a lot of spiritual, like what you're saying with like becoming a God and stuff like that. You can get to a point of like 8 ether, like 9 ether. You would literally be so spiritual that you would break down and lose this spiritual body. You will become a celestial being. Like a lot of, I think it's 9 ether or almost, or it's above 9 ether. There's like one step. It's like goes with the tree of life and stuff like that. But they considered like Muhammad to be 9 ether, Jesus to be 9 ether. These were very, very spiritual people. And if they were any more than that, then they would be celestial. Like their body would just decompose, like break into pieces, and they would become celestial. So there's levels to things too. We could always like spiritually elevate. I don't wouldn't say I'm a god. I wouldn't consider myself a god. I would consider myself like a spiritual being, and we all have like the divine spark. So whenever I speak to someone that's like maybe God body or believe that they're a god, I say, well, I kind of get where you kind of can get that from, but that's just not my belief. But I don't knock anyone's belief because everyone has their own way of things, and they have to go through their own doors and their own, like you said, they have to go, and they might where they're at right now, they might not be in 10 years or 5 years, and it's not my goal to push them along. Or the only thing I could do is like, hey, do you know about this and this? Give them some tips and tricks on their journey.
Well, when I was 9 years old, I had a fever and had passed out at some point. I had this revelation, and I tried to explain to my Catholic parents, and it didn't go over with very well. And what I tried to say, or what I did say, was, "I am God," and then I got slapped. And I realized I couldn't explain the rest to them. This is because I'd come up against a closed mind. But as that evolved, what I was trying to say was, I am God, you are God. We are pieces of the gods manifest here to have an experience of flesh. At 9 years old, I really didn't have the words to get that out, and my Catholic parents were not very receptive to that. But I've never really been swayed from that revelation. It's become more true over time. We made the choice to, rather than float around the universe, to be here in the flesh, to have a certain experience for some goddamn spiritual reason that will elude us. But our higher self chose it, and he's smarter than I am.
Yeah, but no, like we hold the divine spark. Like we can, like there, if we go into details, right? We could even, like with a group of people, we can create a god, an egregore, right? We can create a servitor in the astral realm. We can create certain things. So
Well,
we're very spiritual beings.
well, I think it was in the 80s in Berkeley, Isaac Bonowitz Coven went to create an egregore, but they called it a god. They were creating a god. there was a god of parking, and the god's name was Squat. And what you did is when you're looking for a parking spot, you got squat, squat, find me a spot. Squat, squat, find me a spot. And amazing how powerful this thing became. Now, over time, I saw this thing pop up in New York. The New York witches were teaching a different thing for squat, a different sacrament for squat. The sacrament originally was like putting money in people's expired meters in the name of squat. That was how you fed squat. But then over time, squat evolved. Squat traveled the country, maybe the world. Now squat is female. Squat transgendered itself and became a goddess and developed new
Attributes.
new attributes.
Divinity.
Like now, squat will find you a parking spot. Squat will also find you a place to squat your ass. Squat's also a housing goddess. And
Okay.
he developed new, not attributes, but new ways to feed it. So, me and Marta know maybe 2 limericks. Squat likes dirty jokes and limericks, and when we're looking for a parking spot, we do one of those limericks in the name of Squat, and she always comes through. Always find a fucking parking spot. And the idea of the Berkeley Coven was to create an egregore that would break its mold and become a god.
Yes.
It did so and then became a goddess. Squat. More power.
And if you look over history, like how you said he became female and transgendered, right? There's certain deities that really much align with others. In different cultures, they have survived. They have, and that egregore is in the spiritual realm. It's on a higher level. Like once it gets a certain amount of energy, it transcends and is up there with, all the other high spiritual egregores in the astral realm, in the spiritual realm, right? So, especially when I learned about like a lot of astral things, beliefs, I can't say I don't believe in anything. I don't believe in that, or I don't believe in that. I can't say that anymore because if hundreds of people around the world pray to it, it might not exist. I might think that they never was here on this earth, and that God wasn't, originally true, but it now exists because 100,000 people around the world are praying to it. So now it's an egregore. So now I believe in it because it's now a manifested deity. And we have a lot of like what we're speaking about. Like we have a lot of spirit. We have power that we have. We just have to stick to it. Like they stuck to it, and look what it came. They stuck to it, and it's became something amazing.
Absolutely.
I've heard of people making like servitors too, and they said everything that they made that servitor originally for, it went and did everything it was supposed to. Everything it was made for, it did it.
Absolutely. I swear by servitors, and then egregores. It's exactly as you described. The belief of the people working with it, giving energy to it, makes it real, makes it powerful. And squat. Parking's really important in this world. As soon as I saw it pop up in New York, and they had their own sacrament for squat, I'm like, oh shit, squat's out of the box, man. Squat's traveling, man. And now
I had friends in Berkeley who were making fun of me.
Mhm.
We were looking for a parking spot, like on a Saturday night at a sushi place,
Yeah.
and I told them about squat, and they totally laughed at me. And so I said the squat thing, and directly in front of the sushi place, a car pulls out, and
Yeah.
those
I mean-
bitches stopped laughing.
And that's Berkeley. That's squat's homeland.
Yeah, on a
That's
Saturday.
sacred squat
On a
land.
Saturday
On
in
a
front of the
Saturday.
sushi place,
Yeah.
right in front. And like as soon as they were like laughing at me, and a car pulls out right in front.
Then what they say?
They stopped.
Stop.
Stop laughing.
Yeah.
And people might laugh or people might judge, right? But these people are not open minded. They're not opening their third eye. They're being contained. They're containing themselves, and they don't even realize it. I've spoken to Christians that were, very spiritual, and they weren't like the average Christian. They were very spiritual. Things were going great for their life because they didn't confine themselves. You know, same as any Muslim, any witch, any kind of practitioner of spirituality. When you get to that level, you start to spiritually elevate. You keep an open mind, you have an understanding, and you break it down. I like to break it down like a science too. You know, science with the spirituality. Like you put this with this, and it makes that, and it does this task.
Well, I remember one of the first things I was taught in Palo. Um, I was taught to make an altar for the dead. What was the word for it? The white table with the claw.
Oh yeah, the Misa, Misa.
Both of them.
Over there.
And what I was supposed to do, there was a glass of water that represented my mother, and I placed it on the floor on a book, and every day you put another book on top or under it, and
Elevate it.
you elevate it. You're elevating the dead. That's what I was taught in Palo. We're elevating the dead. And here on TikTok, I've met countless fucking people in their stupid arguments that they have trying to keep us all separated. They say, well, you've got white skin, you can't work with that African deity because they're mad at you about what all the white people did to them back in the day. And I look at it and I go, so you're saying that your ancestors are stupid?
Well, see, here's the thing, though, right? If I'm allowed to interject in that, right? So I'm half white, I'm half Spanish, I'm half white, right? But at the same time, there's no one that's 100% pure anymore. Like they might be 5% this, 10% that, right? And at the same time, I've known people that are white that are not Spanish or African descent, being African traditions, right? Because they might have a spirit that walks with them. We can't determine that. I know people that look dark as heck, and they have a European spirit that walks with them. It's not about the skin color. It's about we don't know that your forefathers might have traveled somewhere and then came back, and had family there, and then came back because back in the day there wasn't child support. There wasn't child support back in the day, so some men traveled the world and they left seeds everywhere. So how don't you know that you might have a family member somewhere in Africa or Egypt or we don't know that.
I mean, people are much. So let me show you something.
People get bound by certain things, and that's when you're like, okay, you have that concept. I need to step back from you. You're a little.
Look at this guy right here. Look how skinny.
Hey, buddy.
Look how skinny this guy is. He will not gain weight no matter. I spent like a couple $100 on weight gain formula. He will not gain weight. Now, according to his DNA profile, this guy right here is mostly Schnauzer and mini Schnauzer. Do you see any of that in this fucking dog? Mathematically, his DNA is Schnauzer and mini Schnauzer. Now, the thing that's really light in his DNA but exists is Greyhound, Italian Greyhound, and Whippet. Tell me that's not the fucking body of a fucking Greyhound. Greyhounds will not fucking gain weight. If you ever see...
And they run really fast.
Yeah, if you ever see a fat Greyhound, they're old.
They're tired, yeah.
So the math thing, like people get their thing and say, when I got involved in Palo, I found out that I had a small amount of African DNA, and that was ancestors that I was not working with. So I needed to have something to work with those ancestors too. People go, oh, we only have so much percent. It's not a math fucking thing. That dog's percentage of DNA should be fucking Schnauzer, mini Schnauzer. He doesn't look at it. I think we're looking at DNA wrong. DNA is either stronger or weaker, not mathematical. It's not a mathematical calculation. His DNA, even though it's lowest, his strong DNA is Greyhound. Greyhound, Italian Greyhound, Whippet. That's
dominant gene.
That's his dominant fucking DNA. That's a better word. Dominant DNA.
Dominant. It's dominant.
But so I see so many of these people on TikTok. They're like they're not elevating their ancestors, they're de-elevating their ancestors. They're trying to keep their ancestors having the same bigotries that they had when they were alive. I would hope that upon
Divine energy.
I will see a bigger picture. I will see the world more clearly than I did when I was alive. But people trying to keep their ancestors down in the fucking dirt, man. Elevate them.
Exactly. The thing is that it's great that you have that thought process because you look at the bigger picture. Not you're not bound to a small frame. You know, you look outside the box, not be contained. And that's what makes you a more advanced spiritual person. And some people don't get that concept. And as you elevate, there are gonna be people, even the saints, even the most good people that ever walked this earth that were highly spiritual. They did no wrong. They moved as they were very saint-like, or they were very good characters. They had people that just didn't like them, you know, and that's a part of life. And I think that it's not the greatest all the time. We don't want to go through those things, but at the same time, we have to try to elevate, past those things.
I would say if you don't offend anyone, you haven't done shit. You gotta fucking change the world, man. You're gonna have to piss some people off and challenge some preconceived notions, and that's gonna piss people off.
And Uncle Bert, you ever heard of the saying? You ever heard of the saying? If you don't got haters, you're not doing something right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Haters gonna hate, and it's just energy. Just give me energy. I don't care. There have been times when I would do this transformation thing that I do called feeding on your enemies. And it's like, if I got some bills I gotta pay, there's not enough going on, I will put out a video. Yeah. And so if you ever see me doing this, this is what I'm doing. If I put out a video saying real witches don't vote Republican, I'm trying to piss some people off and convert their energy. Labola finally shows up. Oh my God, Labola. I'm probably out of here pretty soon because my battery's dying. But hey, Labola, how are you? It's all good. Yeah, real witches don't vote Republican, and it will piss a lot of people off, and we'll get a lot of energy, and the bills will get paid.
Yep. Exactly. You got a whole bunch of views, and then next thing you know, you got all these gifts going on. You talk, you make a live about it, and boom. Next thing you know, you got $100 in your wallet. But they say not all bad publicity is publicity, whether it's good or bad. That's a smart way of thinking. It definitely is. Yep. And also think people like kind of bound themselves to like one tradition, right? And it's good to understand that you can use other energies, right, to add on. Like one thing I've learned, right, from paganism is that you can store energy in stones, crystals. You can store energy and lock it, and unlock it for maybe like a day when you're sick and your body's a little off, and you need to do something. You can unlock it and put it into the working that you're doing.
I always tell people, it's like, if all of your money magic stuff, you got like mojos, rocks, charms, whatever you have, charge those on payday. Charge those when you're not broke.
Yeah. When your prosperity's good, because that energy you're putting into it is the energy of open roads. Yeah, energy of prosperity.
Charge your gambling your gambling mojos when you happen to have some good luck going on. Because when you need that shit, you're not going to have that.
Exactly.
Broke on your ass. It's like charge it when you're not broke on your ass.
Exactly. So yeah, they'll have some of that energy when things are going well. I remember this one guy. He said it. I think he was on YouTube, right? And it's funny because I remember before I ever became a priest in Ocha, right? I had seen this guy on YouTube. He's a really old Cuban guy, and he was speaking of the concept of if I put a stick in front of you, right, and you truly believe that it has a spirit inside of it, an energy inside of it, how does it not does that stick? And he said in Spanish, pretty much, does that stick walk? Does that stick caminando? Does it have? Does it work? Well, if you believe it so much to a point, it will. And it's crazy because that same guy, right? His godson, it was at my crowning. To say he came from Cuba to my crowning, and it was wild. So, but it's what you put your energy into, your time. Day after day, these things amplify. You know, it's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Okay, so you did Ocho. That means you spent a
Uh-huh.
year wearing white,
Yes.
sleeping on the floor, carrying food bowls with you. That's some dedication, man.
Yeah, some pain, some aches and pains on the floor. You know, you try to put a little blanket under the mat. You know, to get a little comfort, so you don't wake up. There's been plenty of days where I woke up and my arms like sleep, just dead. I'm like trying to smack the life back into it, but yeah, it was worth it. You know, it was
Yeah.
worth it. They saved me in many different ways. Um,
It,
and in
it,
Ocha, after the ceremony, right, they believe that you share the body with that Orisha. You know, that spirit now dwells within your head. Hmm.
they, um, they did call me to that, but I just couldn't pull off that level of dedication in the life that I would have done.
Yeah.
But we, our Tata and Paulo also did Ocha, and so we were we're in the outside of a crowning ceremony. We actually got to go in and see the person being crowned. Marta was plucking chickens, learned how to pluck a chicken. I was guarding livestock, so goats, roosters, chickens, that kind of stuff. And every so often they'd come in and ask for one, and it would go and never come back.
Yeah.
So I was not involved in the Ocha except for that. And at one point, the dude that was with me, he opened a cage, and the rooster flew out over the fucking fence. And I'm this white motherfucker, totally Mexican area. Nobody speaks English there. Dressed all in white. I fucking immediately jump. I immediately jump over this fucking fence, kicking this rooster through 3 people's yards while they're like yelling at me in Spanish. I don't know what they're fucking saying. Yelling at me as I'm running, But I got that fucking rooster. I brought him back. I brought him back, and his time had passed. They had already taken another rooster in there. Motherfucker got to live. Not
Because
go.
of the research or something said that he's allowed to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I ran around, caught him, and he still got to live.
It was going to get away on my watch. Yeah, I wish I had that footage too, Lux Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so that does happen every now and then.
That fucking rooster. Not on my watch.
Not on my watch. Right? Get over here. Get over here. There's times where I've went to like farms, I had to like feed my stuff in palo and stuff like that, right? So every so often you got to do your sting, So I remember the one place I went to. There's like 1 or 2 places I'll go to for like animals and stuff. So on the year that I'm supposed to celebrate and stuff like that, I went and I was running around for like an hour, but I got him. I ended up catching a rooster. I like cornered him in and I was like, gotcha. All right, here's the money. Finally got him, but we got
You had
him.
to catch him and pay for it.
I had to catch it and pay for it. The guy was older, I was like, hey, the price wasn't expensive either. He wasn't charging an arm and like he's like, yeah, you can give me this much, I'll give you a deal. And I'm like, hey man, here, take an extra $10, $15, He's like, you don't gotta do such. No, don't worry about it, man.
Yeah, don't cheat.
It's respect for the elders, This guy's been working on the farm for all his life. He's an older man, Hey man, here's a little bit extra for your buck, I see it as a
Well,
respect to the elder.
I'm at 13% battery. I'm gonna have to go. But
Okay, yeah, no problem, man.
Ruho Legba, you have been one of the most interesting people I've had in the box in a while, man. This is a great talk.
This
Thanks
was
for
a wonderful stuff. Very profound, definitely.
thanks for jumping up there, man. Salam alaikum.
Malaikum salam, Sambi Akutari. Many blessings, brother. See you soon.
Hi, man. And for the rest of you all, check me out at witchschool.gumroad.com, WITCHSKEWL. You can find our online shop at unholyblends.com. And this full video will be up on YouTube in several hours whenever they get done processing it and I download it and all that shit. But thanks for sticking in there. Most of you, at least most of you have hung in there. Definitely Lux Lady Crystal's been here the whole time, which I would, expect. But the numbers have stayed pretty consistent the entire time. So I hope that means that a lot of you stayed with us this entire time. I'm Uncle Birch. Give me a follow. Give me a like. I'll follow you back if you got a witchy sounding name. But a thing I always like to remember at the close of each broadcast. As our ancestors in witchcraft used to say, to remind ourselves of the troubled times to which we have come and the breadcrumb trail that they left us to follow in the old ways. Merry meet, merry part. Merry meet again, y'all.